Now listen, life is funny sometimes. You ever notice how people get caught up talking about age? A 38-year-old woman with a 20-year-old boy. Folks got something to say. They'll whisper, they'll judge, they'll laugh. But here's what I tell people. You better stop worrying about what makes sense to somebody else's life and start asking yourself what makes sense in yours. See, sometimes we look at situations from the outside and we think it's all about numbers. Oh, she's older. He's younger. But life ain't about the number. It's about the energy. It's about the connection. It's about how somebody makes you feel when you wake up in the morning. If you got somebody who lights you up, who makes you smile, who reminds you that life ain't over, that your best days ain't behind you, then who cares if the math looks funny? Now don't get me wrong. I'm not saying everything is perfect. A 20-year-old boy, he's still figuring life out. He's still trying to understand who he is. But maybe that's the point. Maybe his energy, his hunger, his fire, that's exactly what a 38-year-old woman needs. 'Cause sometimes by the time you hit your late 30s, you've been through enough pain, enough disappointment, enough broken promises that you forget what it feels like to live. And then here comes somebody who doesn't carry all that baggage, who's not weighed down, who just wants to love, laugh, and run with you. See, love doesn't check birth certificates. Joy doesn't ask for ID. Happiness doesn't care if you're 18 or 80. It just wants to live in you. And if you got that, don't you dare let the world shame you out of it. People will always talk. They'll always criticize. But the same people who talk about you wish they had what you had. They wish they could laugh like you laugh, feel like you feel, live like you live. At the end of the day, life is short. Tomorrow ain't promised. So if a 38-year-old woman finds joy in a 20-year-old man, and they both bring out the best in each other, then that's their blessing. Don't block your blessing trying to fit into the world's rule book, 'cause the world ain't paying your bills. The world ain't holding you at night, and the world sure ain't giving you happiness. So stop letting people dictate what your life is supposed to look like. If it's love, live it. If it's joy, embrace it. If it's different, own it. 'Cause trust me, at the end of this ride called life, the last thing you want is regret. People love to make a big deal out of age. They look at a 38-year-old woman with a 20-year-old man, and the first thing they do is pull out their calculators. Well, that's an 18-year difference. She was almost grown when he was born. They start doing all that math like love cares about arithmetic. But here's the truth. Age is nothing but a number on paper. It don't measure love. It don't measure respect. And it sure don't measure how somebody makes your soul light up. See, I know people in their 50s and 60s who feel younger than folks in their 20s. Why? Because youth ain't about the date on your driver's license. It's about the energy you carry. You can be 38 and full of life, or you can be 20 and walking around like the world already beat you. So, when two people come together, what matters most is not the number. It's the connection. It's whether their spirits click. It's whether their energy matches. It's whether they bring out the best in each other. Now, don't get me wrong. Society loves to judge. People will say, that don't make no sense. She's robbing the cradle. But those same people will go home to a loveless relationship where nobody even looks at them anymore. They'll sit on the couch miserable, wishing somebody would give them the kind of attention you're getting. That's why you can't live for people's opinions. Because folks will talk about you. If you're broke, they'll talk about you. If you're rich, and they'll talk about you if you're happy. And they'll talk about you if you're happy. So you might as well be happy while they're talking. Energy, now that's the secret. A younger person might bring fire, adventure, and a fresh perspective. An older person might bring wisdom, stability, and grounding. When those two energies meet in the right way, it creates balance. That's something numbers can't explain. Love don't check ID. Joy don't check birthdays. And happiness don't care what year you were born. And let me tell you something. You only get one life. You don't get a rehearsal. You don't get a do-over. So if someone comes into your life, whether they're older or younger, and they give you laughter, love, and peace, you hold on to that. Don't let societies, rulers, steal your blessing. The world ain't the one paying your bills, hugging you at night, or giving you joy. That's between you and that person. So stop counting years and start counting moments. Stop worrying about what's acceptable and start asking yourself, does this make me happy? Does this bring me peace? Does this add to my life? Because when you find that, the age on the calendar don't matter. What matters is the energy in your heart. Love is funny, man. People act like love has rules written in stone. They say you can only fall in love with someone close to your age, someone who fits the box, someone who looks right on paper. But let me tell you something. Love don't care about your paperwork. Love don't ask to see your ID card before it shows up. Joy doesn't knock on your door and say, "Excuse me, how old are you?" No. Love, joy, and happiness, they live in the heart, not on a calendar. See, the real measure of love is not whether you're the same age, but whether you make each other feel alive. You ever seen two people together and they just glow? Doesn't matter if one is older and the other is younger. You can see it. The way they laugh, the way they walk together, the way they talk to each other. It's undeniable. That right there is proof that happiness doesn't check birth years. Happiness checks your heart. Now, a lot of people out there let the world tell them what their love is supposed to look like. They let society's judgment make them second guess their blessings. But here's the truth. Most people talking about your life ain't even happy in theirs. They're sitting at home, scrolling on their phones, wishing they had somebody who made them smile. They're in relationships where they ain't felt joy in years, but they want to critique you. Nah, you don't let that stop you. Love is about connection. Happiness is about freedom. Joy is about energy. When you find someone who brings those three things into your life, you don't question it because of age. You celebrate it. You grab hold of it with both hands. Because life is short. And the last thing you want is to look back and realize you missed out on your happiness just because you were worried about what other people thought. And let me tell you another truth. Happiness keeps you young. When you're laughing, when you're loved, when your heart is light, you don't feel 38. You don't feel 20. You just feel alive. That's the magic of joy. It removes the weight of years. It don't matter if you've been through heartbreaks, disappointments, or struggles. The moment happiness walks into your life, it erases all that and gives you a fresh start. So don't let the calendar scare you. Don't let the critics stop you. If somebody brings out your laughter, your smile, your joy, let them in. Because love ain't about how old you are. It's about how much life you share. Now let me break it down for you. You ever notice how sometimes life can get a little too serious? You hit your late 30s, your 40s, and you got responsibilities stacked on your back. Bills, work, family, expectations. You start moving through life like it's a checklist. Wake up, go to work, pay the bills, come home, repeat. And without even realizing it, you forget what it feels like to just laugh until your stomach hurts, to be spontaneous, to feel that fire that makes you excited to wake up in the morning. That's where a younger partner can come in. A 20-year-old might not have all the answers. They might not have it all figured out. But what they do have is energy. They've got that drive, that passion, that let's try something new spirit. And when that kind of fire connects with someone who's already been through life, who knows struggle, who's got wisdom, it creates balance. It brings a spark back into your life that you didn't even realize was fading. See, passion isn't just about romance. It's about living. It's about reminding yourself that life isn't only bills and responsibilities. It's adventures. It's laughter. It's dancing in the kitchen when nobody's watching. And a younger partner can bring that playful spirit right back into your world. They see possibilities where you see problems. They bring excitement where you bring experience. That mix can be powerful. It can make both people grow. Now, people on the outside might not understand it. They'll look at that 38-year-old woman and that 20-year-old man and say, what does she see in him? He's just a kid. But what they don't realize is sometimes he's giving her something money can't buy, something age can't create, something society can't measure. He's giving her fire. And fire has the power to warm your life again. And let me tell you, energy is contagious. When you're around somebody who's full of life, it rubs off on you. Suddenly, you're laughing more. You're open to new things. You're living instead of just existing. That's not about age. That's about connection. That's about two people deciding they're going to feed each other's spirits instead of draining them. And here's the key. When that fire gets lit again, it doesn't just affect your relationship, it affects your whole life. You walk with more confidence. You look at challenges differently. You start seeing opportunities instead of obstacles. Why? Because passion doesn't stay in one area, it spreads. It makes you better at work, better with your family, better with yourself. So yeah, maybe he's younger. Maybe people don't get it. But if that younger partner is helping you remember who you really are, if they're giving you back your laughter, your joy, your spark, then baby, that's a blessing. Don't apologize for it. Don't downplay it. Sometimes God sends you fire in a package you weren't expecting. And when He does, you better not blow it out. Let me tell you something right now. People are going to talk about you no matter what you do. You can be single. They'll say you're lonely. You can be in a relationship. They'll say you picked the wrong one. You can be rich. They'll say you're greedy. You can be broke. They'll say you're lazy. See, the truth is this: people don't need a reason to judge you. It's like breathing to them. They just do it. So when a 38-year-old woman decides she's happy with a 20-year-old man, you know what happens. Everybody suddenly becomes an expert on her life. They'll say she's too old for him. They'll call him too young for her. They'll crack jokes, make comments, and act like their living perfect lives themselves. But behind all that noise, here's the reality. They wish they had the same joy. They wish they had a reason to smile like that. They wish they had somebody looking at them the way those two look at each other. C, judgment usually comes from two places: ignorance or envy. Some folks just don't understand, so they criticize. Others do understand, but they're jealous because they want it for themselves. Either way, you can't let their voices drown out your happiness. Because at the end of the day, those people judging you are not paying your bills. They're not wiping your tears, and they're not the ones making you laugh at midnight. And here's the part that always makes me laugh. Half the people judging your happiness are sitting at home, miserable. They're in relationships where nobody speaks, nobody smiles. Well, nobody even notices the other person anymore. They look across the dinner table and see a stranger. But when they see you laughing, glowing, living your life, they start pointing fingers. Why? Because your joy is a mirror. It reminds them of what they don't have. You've got to understand something. Joy is rare. Real joy is powerful. It shines so bright that it bothers people who are still living in the dark. That's why folks gossip. That's why they laugh. But deep down, they're wishing they could feel what you feel. And if they're honest, they'd admit it. So don't you dare shrink your happiness to make other people comfortable. Don't dim your light, because somebody else is sitting in shadows. Let them talk. Let them whisper. While they're busy watching your life, you go ahead and keep living it. Because happiness isn't about approval. It's about freedom. It's about being bold enough to say, this makes me happy, and I don't need your permission to enjoy it. At the end of the day, people will always have something to say. But here's the blessing. You get to choose whether you listen to them or whether you listen to your own heart. And if your heart is full of joy, if your days are filled with laughter, if your soul feels alive, then baby, you already won. Life is short. Man, I don't care how old you are. I don't care what stage of life you're in. None of us are promised tomorrow. You can wake up today, make your plans, write your to-do list, and think you got it all figured out. But one phone call, one moment, one heartbeat can change everything. That's why I always tell people, you better stop living for society's expectations and start living for your own happiness. Because when it's all said and done, society don't live your life. You do. Now let's be real. The world loves to hand out rule books. They'll tell a 38-year-old woman she's supposed to date a man her age, settle down, stay in her lane. But what if that lane ain't making her happy? What if joy shows up in a different package? In this case, a 20-year-old man. See, society wants you to fit in their little boxes. They want you to make choices that look acceptable. But here's the danger. If you keep living by everybody else's rules, You'll wake up one day realizing you never lived for yourself. Regret, man, regret is a heavy thing. You can live with mistakes. You learn from them. You can live with failure. You grow from it. But regret, that'll eat you alive. Regret is sitting there thinking, what if I had followed my heart? What if I had chosen happiness instead of approval? And by the time you realize it, it's too late. That's why I tell people, you better choose your joy while you still got time. Now, choosing happiness doesn't mean it's always easy. Oh no, it comes with judgment. It comes with whispers. It comes with side eyes from family, friends, co-workers. People will say, she's too old for him, or he's not ready for her. But ask yourself this, who has to wake up in your life every day? Who has to walk in your shoes? It's not them. It's you. So why in the world would you hand over your happiness to people who ain't even living your life? See, happiness is freedom. When you choose it, you break out of those cages people try to put you in. You stop asking for permission to smile. You stop waiting for approval to live. You just go ahead and live. And that's when life gets sweet. That's when you stop counting birthdays and start counting memories. That's when you realize happiness isn't about years. It's about moments. And let me drop this on you. When you're lying at the end of your life, you won't care what people said. You won't be thinking about the gossip, the criticism, the judgment. You'll be thinking about the times you laughed, the times you loved, the times you felt alive. That's what matters. That's what lasts. So don't let society's expectations rob you of your blessing. Don't let fear of judgment steal your joy. Life is short, baby. Choose happiness, live boldly, and never, ever let regret be the last chapter of your story. Now let me leave you with this. At the end of the day, life is not about what people think. It's about how you feel when you lay your head down at night. You can spend your whole life trying to please society, trying to follow the rules, trying to fit into the box that everybody else has built for you. But if you do that, you'll end up living somebody else's story, not your own. And when the final chapter comes, the worst pain you can carry is realizing you never chose yourself. See, happiness don't come wrapped in a perfect package. It doesn't always show up when you expect it. And it doesn't always look like what people say it should look like. Sometimes happiness comes through struggle. Sometimes it comes in the form of a risk. Sometimes it shows up in ways that make people raise their eyebrows, like a 38-year-old woman finding joy with a 20-year-old man. And the world will look, they'll judge, they'll whisper. But here's the truth that ain't their blessing to understand. That blessing was given to you. What people forget is that joy is rare. Real love, real laughter, real peace. That's not something you can pick up at the store. That's not something you can order online. That's something you've got to fight for, protect, and cherish when you find it. And if you're blessed enough to have it, you can't let the world talk you out of it. Because the same people who are criticizing you, if they had that same joy, wouldn't give it up for nothing. And let me say this, you don't get forever. We act like we've got all this time, like tomorrow is promised. But the truth is, it's not. Every day is a gift. Every laugh is a gift. Every hug, every smile, every memory you create with somebody you love. That's the real wealth of life. And if you waste your time worrying about the opinions of people who aren't even living your life, you're throwing away your blessings. So here's the conclusion. Stop letting society's expectations run your life. Stop letting judgment scare you out of happiness. Stop letting the fear of what people might say keep you from choosing love, joy, and peace. Your life is yours. Your happiness is yours. And if you find somebody who gives you energy, passion, laughter, and love, whether they're older, younger, or just different from what people expect, you hold on to that blessing with both hands. Because at the end of the day, when your story is told, nobody's going to care about the gossip. Nobody's going to remember the critics. What they'll remember is the life you lived, the joy you carried, and the love you gave. That's the real legacy. That's what matters most. So live boldly, love freely, and choose happiness every single time. Because life is short, baby, and regret is forever. So live it bold, live it free, and don't ever apologize for it. Because at the end of the day, happiness is the richest thing you'll ever own. Thank you, God bless you, and keep on living your best life.